In this mini series, we are going to talk about the Microsoft partnership, what it means to be a partner with Microsoft, how to achieve a solutions designation, how to utilize your incentives and rebates, and where you can optimize your co op dollars when it comes to spending those at the end of the day once you've earned a solution designation. To introduce myself, my name is Cole Kaparos. I am a Microsoft 365 solutions architect at Enforcer. In my experience working with Microsoft, I've spent 6 years working within the modern work solution area. I do come from a licensing distributor, so day in and day out, my conversations were around optimizing the Microsoft Partner Center, utilizing their programs, and making sure that my partners were able to capture as much spend or incentives that they were entitled to on a daily basis from Microsoft. So, for the agenda today, this one is going to be pretty high level. We are going to talk about what it means to enroll into the Microsoft partnership, what NCE looks like. That is a big focus with Microsoft, is making sure you know the requirements, the rules, the different paid tiers, the different routes for CSP. So CSP 1, 2 versus Build Direct, and some different requirements that you might not be aware about when it comes to minimum spend within each area that you could start utilizing to purchase from. And then finally, we will take a look at distribution and the actual partner center and where you'd want to enroll, and some gotchas that might stick out that you might not notice or know about when you are going to enroll for a CSP. So, to kick off, what is a Microsoft partnership? So, that would be your CSP program that you're enrolling to. And again, we will jump into the Partner Center here shortly, and I'll show you how to enroll into that. But your cloud solutions provider is what CSP will stands for. This is your agreement with Microsoft. This is where they go through the vetting process to register you as an LLC within your selected country that you are trying to resell Microsoft in. So that is a big thing that we want to point out is the country that you register your CSP in is the only country you'll be allowed to sell Microsoft through. So with that being said, if you do have co-locations in different countries, you would need to register separate partner centers depending on where your company is located in. So if you have one in the United States as well as in Canada, you need two separate partner centers to be able to resell within each one of those countries. Again, this allows you as an MSP to resell Microsoft. This is their vetting process. This is what's going to give you the thumbs up to go capture new customers and start earning money towards reselling, as well as your incentives and rebates. As you can see in the bottom, there's a new agreement that Microsoft has put in place outside of just the CSP agreement, and that's going to be your MCA. So your MCA agreement is your Microsoft customer agreement. Typically, customers will sign off on this, saying that they're abiding by the 7-day cancellation policy of NCE. Depending on the distributors that you're working with, you will be able to more or less vouch on behalf of the customer, saying you agree to the terms and conditions of NCE, but you will need to sign an MCA agreement for your customers when you are purchasing Microsoft licensing for them for the first time. Now, that agreement does stay and hold true as you continue to work with them and purchase more and more licensing for them. But for the first time that you are going to purchase licensing, you will need to sign an MCA as well. Typically, that is held on the last page on any of the distribution contracts websites, meaning when you're going through the purchasing channel, when you get to your last page, you will have to sign and consent on behalf of the customer or have the customer put their information in there as well. So, NCE, what is it? This is Microsoft's new commerce experience. I always like to joke and say this was the bane of my existence when I worked at a licensing provider, just because the headaches that this has caused if people aren't aware about what's going on with NCE. So I do want to emphasize this is very important to familiarize yourself with if you haven't already. I always used to say NCE is one of those programs where you need to measure 10 times and cut once. The reason for that is you have a 7-day window or a 168-hour return window to be able to get a refund for your licenses. So if you over order licenses compared to what the customer needs, yes, you'd be able to return them, but you are on a strict time frame to make sure you are able to cut that number down and get it to the quantity that they want. Otherwise, you are locked into that commitment term for that quantity of licenses and are responsible for paying that portion of it until the renewal date rolls around. So, speaking of renewal dates, there are a couple different renewal windows that you'd be able to utilize when it comes to NCE. You can see I have them listed there on the left side, but month to month billing, that is going to be the easiest option when it comes to reducing quantity or changing licenses, but that does come at a premium. So 20% extra for being able to bill and use this commitment model. There's a monthly billing annual commitment. That's going to be a 5% premium on top of those licenses just for using the annual commitment monthly billing. Annual billing, annual commitment is going to have no premium. So the number that you see, the number you're paying is going to be true to what it is. This is what Microsoft is pushing to make sure that you're going to have your annual commitments, you're getting paid up front, all is taken care of. And if you need to add licenses in the middle of the term, that will prorate and co-term to your bill. So you're not having to worry about multiple end dates, but everything should be paid up front. So that way, you're getting the cheapest cost. And as of recent, Microsoft has added a 3-year commitment to their enterprise level suites or enterprise level SKUs. So what this means is you have an annual billing or a 3-year paid upfront option. But typically, working in the channel, I haven't seen too many people utilize this outside of enterprise agreements. But that's a whole nother can of worms for another conversation another day. But these will be your commitment terms. Again, NCE is a 7-day return window. You purchase the licenses, that clock starts ticking. You want to make sure that you have everything squared away with the customer, whether that mean payment plans or the actual payment up front, as well as the quantity of licenses, because it's always easier to add licenses or upgrade them in NCE than to return or cancel. So just keep that in mind when you are purchasing Microsoft licensing. So when it comes to actually purchasing licensing, what are the channels that you have? So there's CSP1, CSP2, Bill Direct. These are the 3 different options that you'll have as an MSP to purchase licensing. CSP1 is going to be MSPs that will typically purchase from Microsoft directly. What ends up happening with this is you will earn a Microsoft PDM or an account manager there. But the caveat to working as a CSP1 is you do have to have $1 million in a trailing 12-month spend with Microsoft. So that is a barrier to entry, as well as there is a support fee that you will have to pay for working with the CSP1. Typically, we see these more as a larger enterprise MSPs working directly as a CSP1, and there's no rhyme or reason, mostly just because they fit the niche of what Microsoft is wanting to utilize there. They are limited on their account managers, so they are going to work with some of the bigger partners that they have. But that doesn't mean you wouldn't be able to become a CSP1 if you did meet the $1 million, as well as are earning or willing to pay that support fee. CSP2 is where I always said 95% of the MSPs in the market will live. And this is going to be purchasing through an indirect provider. Or indirect reseller. So an indirect provider is what you would call yourself as a CSP2. You'd still be able to resell Microsoft, but you're just going to be purchasing through a distributor like Pax8, Ingram Micro, TD SYNNEX, ShareWeb. The list goes on and on and on. But the reason Microsoft is pushing towards working through distribution is this allows them to help out with, one, providing you with an account team, so that way you have a dedicated resource to reach out to, somebody to get in contact with, ask about licensing questions. You have resources on that side that will help you with navigating the Microsoft program questions as well. But they do have their own support teams. Now, Microsoft does have a massive support team as well, but then again, you will have to pay for it. Working through distribution, more often than not, they will provide you that free support as long as you're continuing to purchase their licensing through them. So this gives you kind of a win-win where you have an account team, you're able to get support towards the licenses, whether it's troubleshooting, back-end issues, things like that, but you're not having to pay for those fees or meet that barrier to entry of $1 million trailing 12 months. The barrier to entry for CSP2 is $1,000 over a trailing 12-month, which typically is very achievable. We always used to do the math. If you have 80 business standard licenses within a tenant or overall between your tenants, you're typically going to hit that $1,000 spend pretty quickly. So just think, bring on one big customer or continue to provide that value, have multiple little customers, get them on business premium. That trailing $1,000 will be knocked out of the park pretty easily. And then the last but not least will be your bill direct. So bill direct, think you're taking your customer's credit card, going directly to Microsoft for them, purchasing their own licenses. There's no other rhyme or reason to do that other than they want to get billed directly from Microsoft and you don't want to handle the billing. So any of the options work. But for the point of working towards a solution designation, just think you'd want to be a part of the CSP1 or CSP2 program. That's where you're going to earn your points from. The bill direct customers will not count towards your solution designation. So, as I spoke earlier, CSP2, that's going to be where 95% of the MSPs probably will live these days. So, talking about distribution is going to be important. What is a distributor for Microsoft? That is going to be, like we mentioned, Pax8, TD Synnex, Ingram, they see listed on there. The list seems like it's ever growing these days. But not only do they just sell Microsoft, they will provide you with a whole suite of products you'll be able to purchase. SentinelOne, Dropsuite, Datto, just some of the names that I've listed on there, but that list is continuing to ever grow. The big reason that everybody wants to work with distributors is because you will have a resource to contact. You will have an account team. You will be able to get support on the products that you purchase for them. So this is going to alleviate some of the pains that you might have to use when you are trying to get in contact directly with somebody like Microsoft, just because they're such a large company. They have a lot of people that they're going to deal with on a day-to-day basis. This allows you to get that specialized feel of I can get some help. I can also get the right licensing recommendation from a licensing expert from my distributor, as well as, we're going to get the support behind the fact for it too. So this is a little breakdown of a chart that we built out for just kind of how Microsoft will resell. So you can see CSP1, CSP2 to the customer. This is just kind of the flow chart of how you'd want to think about reselling from Microsoft. So like I said, 95% of MSPs will sit right in that middle spot right there and just resell downstream to your customer. But you have the support of the distributors to navigate these programs that Microsoft has. So to get enrolled into a Microsoft CSP, what will you need to do? First start would be to come to the Partner Center. So from here, you go to partner.microsoft.com, and then it will ask you to go ahead and hit enroll. Once you've hit enroll, you will then register your account by using your work email. And it'll take you to the next registration page. Now that we're already a partner here at Enforcer with Microsoft, it might not show the next few steps, but what you'll need to do is enter your basic information to show that, one, you're an LLC based out of your country, your billing information, your as well as your address here. So once you get into this, you can see we're already active in the AI Cloud program. That's going to be the one that you'd want to click off on, as well as this cloud solutions provider. So once you've done that, it'll ask you for your information. You will then enroll, and from there, it'll be up to Microsoft's discretion whether to approve you or to deny your claim to become a CSP. Once you have gotten the approval to become a CSP, it is very important that you go to a specific area in this partner center to check on your agreement. Where to go to find that would be this gear icon. Go to your account settings. And then from here, you will see underneath this agreements tab, which I will not click on just because there's some personal information in there for our company. It will have your CSP agreement as well as your MCA. All you need to do is go ahead and sign off on both of those. It's an automatic e-signature. Once you've done that and everything is green light for underneath your legal info, you will be good to resell Microsoft. From there, connect with your distributor or Microsoft directly for further information about how you're going to start reselling. But going ahead and getting started is the first step to getting your Microsoft footprint going. From there, it's all about upselling, creating those opportunities to earn some more incentives and rebates, which we'll talk about on the next channel. Thank you.